The story begins inside a small living room decorated with balloons, candles, and a homemade cake. It's a modest birthday celebration for Maria, a hardworking single mother. Her teenage son, Alex, walks in with an unusual expression. Instead of smiling or bringing a gift, he announces something shocking. "Mom, today I want to give you 15 slaps." The room goes silent. Family members freeze in disbelief. Maria's face shows both confusion and hurt. Alex, however, insists on his strange request. "Please trust me," he says firmly, "I need to do this." Against everyone's judgment, Maria allows him to continue, though her heart is breaking. One by one, Alex raises his hand and delivers soft slaps across his mother's cheeks. With each slap, her eyes fill with tears, but she does not resist. The guests whisper angrily, calling Alex ungrateful and cruel. How could he humiliate his own mother on her special day? Someone mutters. By the 15th slap, the tension in the room is unbearable. Then, Alex suddenly drops to his knees and bursts into tears. His voice shakes as he explains, "Mom, when I was younger, you used to discipline me with these same 15 slaps every time I disobeyed. Back then, I hated you for it. But now I realize those slaps kept me away from bad friends, drugs, and crime. They shaped me into the man I am today. Today, on your birthday, I wanted to return those slaps, not out of anger, but as a reminder of your sacrifices and tough love." The room falls silent again, but this time in awe. Maria pulls her son into her arms, crying openly. "My child," she whispers, "I never wanted to hurt you. Every slap was out of love, so you could have a better life than mine." Suddenly, the audience of relatives and friends breaks into applause. What seemed like an act of cruelty transforms into a powerful lesson about parenting, discipline, and gratitude. Alex then presents his real gift, a small box containing a necklace with the words, "For my first love, Mom." Maria smiles through her tears, and the party ends with laughter, hugs, and a deeper bond between mother and son. Moral: sometimes, what looks like disrespect can carry a hidden message of gratitude. Behind tough actions, there may be a story of love, sacrifice, and redemption. The living room was filled with balloons, streamers, and the sweet aroma of a freshly baked cake. Maria, a mother who had worked tirelessly for years to raise her children, was finally celebrating her 50th birthday. Friends, neighbors, and relatives gathered to honor her. But in the middle of the celebration, something shocking unfolded. Her teenage son, Daniel, walked toward her, his face tense and his hands shaking. Instead of presenting a gift, he suddenly raised his hand and struck his mother across the face. The room gasped, plates fell, children cried, and whispers of disgust filled the air. Maria's guests were outraged. "How dare he?" someone shouted. "On her birthday, of all days." Others moved to intervene, ready to drag Daniel out of the house. But Maria, holding her stinging cheek, stopped everyone. She raised her hand and calmly said, "No. Let him be." Her voice was steady, though her eyes shimmered with tears. Daniel struck her again, and again, each time softer than before, until he reached 15 slaps. The crowd was stunned into silence. Why would a mother allow this? Then Daniel broke down. He fell to his knees, sobbing uncontrollably. "Mom," he choked out, "every time you slapped me when I was a child, I thought you hated me. I thought you didn't care about my feelings. But now that I've grown, I realize those slaps saved me. You disciplined me when no one else dared. You pulled me away from trouble, from bad choices, from the darkness I was heading toward." Maria knelt beside him, placing her hands gently on his face. "Son, those slaps were never out of hate," she said softly. "They were my way of fighting for you, my way of keeping you alive in a world that wanted to swallow you whole. If I had been gentle, you might not be here today." The guests were no longer angry. Many were wiping tears from their eyes. What began as a scene of disrespect had transformed into a lesson about sacrifice, tough love, and the painful decisions mothers make for their children's futures. Daniel then pulled out a velvet box from his pocket. Inside was a golden bracelet engraved with the words, "For my mother, my strength." He clasped it around her wrist, kissed her hand, and whispered, "I'm sorry for the pain, but thank you for giving me life twice, once at birth, and again through your discipline." The crowd erupted in applause, and Maria embraced her son tightly, forgiving every strike. It was supposed to be a day filled with joy, laughter, and love. Maria, a devoted mother who had raised her son single-handedly, sat at the head of the dining table as friends and family sang, "Happy birthday." A cake with glowing candles stood in front of her, symbolizing not just another year of life, but a lifetime of sacrifice. But then her teenage son, Adrian, stood up, his face tense and voice trembling. Instead of offering a gift, he stunned the entire room with his words, "Mom, today I want to give you 15 slaps." The guests gasped. Laughter stopped instantly. Anger spread across the room. "What kind of son humiliates his mother like this?" whispered one relative. But Maria, with a calm yet heavy heart, nodded. "If that's what you feel you must do, then do it." One by one, Adrian struck her. The slaps weren't brutal, but each one carried the weight of judgment from the crowd. By the 10th slap, Maria's eyes filled with tears, but she stayed silent, letting her son finish. Finally, after the 15th, Adrian dropped his hand, his body shaking. The room was filled with tension, until Adrian suddenly fell to his knees and sobbed. "Mom, do you remember when I was a little boy? Whenever I lied, stole, or made mistakes, you gave me these 15 slaps. Back then, I hated you. I thought you were cruel. But as I grew older, I realized those slaps saved me. They kept me away from crime, from drugs, from throwing my life away. Today, I wanted to give them back to you, not out of disrespect, but as a reminder that every painful lesson you gave me turned into a blessing." Tears streamed down Maria's face. She bent down, lifting her son's chin. "Adrian, I never wanted to hurt you. Every slap broke my heart, but I had to be strong for you. Look at you now, standing tall, becoming a man I'm proud of. If those slaps shaped you into who you are today, then every tear I shed was worth it." The crowd, once furious, was now silent, moved to tears. What seemed like an act of cruelty became a powerful lesson in love and sacrifice. Adrian then revealed his true gift, a framed photo of the two of them with the words, "My first hero, Mom." Maria embraced him tightly as the guests clapped with admiration. The living room was buzzing with laughter, chatter, and the sweet scent of birthday cake. Maria, a humble mother who had spent her life sacrificing for her children, was finally surrounded by loved ones for her special day. As she sat down, glowing candles flickering before her, all eyes turned to her teenage son, Kevin. Everyone expected a heartfelt speech or a thoughtful gift. But instead, Kevin did something shocking. He raised his hand and slapped his mother across the face. Gasps filled the room. "Did he just slap her?" whispered a guest in disbelief. Children hid behind their parents, while relatives shook their heads in anger. "This is unforgivable," someone muttered. Yet Maria didn't react with rage. She simply held her cheek, her eyes wet with silent tears, and said softly, "Go on." To everyone's horror, Kevin struck her again. And again. By the 15th slap, the atmosphere had shifted from celebration to heartbreak. Some relatives tried to step in, but Maria stopped them with a calm wave of her hand. Then, something unexpected happened. Kevin dropped to his knees, his voice breaking with emotion. "Mom, when I was a boy, you slapped me whenever I lied, stole, or made mistakes. I hated you for it. I thought you wanted to hurt me. But now, I realize those slaps kept me on the right path. They stopped me from becoming like the friends I lost, to drugs, gangs, and crime. Today, I wanted to return those 15 slaps, not out of anger, but as a way to thank you for saving me, even when I didn't understand." The crowd went silent. Maria bent down, lifted her son's face, and hugged him tightly. "Kevin, my son," she whispered, "each slap hurt me more than it hurt you. But I chose to be strong because I wanted you to grow into the man you are today. I would endure it all again if it meant protecting you." The room, once filled with judgment, was now filled with tears. What looked like disrespect had turned into one of the most powerful lessons about love and discipline. Guests who had been outraged moments earlier were now applauding Maria's strength and Kevin's honesty. Kevin then revealed his true gift, a handwritten letter framed in glass, with the words, "Your sacrifices made me who I am." He placed it in his mother's hands and kissed her forehead. The evening was filled with joy and excitement. Relatives and neighbors had gathered in Maria's modest home to celebrate her birthday. The cake was decorated with bright candles, and the walls were lined with balloons. Maria, wearing a simple dress and her warm smile, looked around at her guests with gratitude. It wasn't a grand celebration, but it was full of love. Then her teenage son, Ryan, stood up. All eyes shifted toward him. Guests expected him to deliver a touching speech or present a thoughtful gift. But instead, He did something so shocking that the entire room froze. He slapped his mother across the face. A gasp of disbelief rippled through the crowd. Did he really just slap her? On her birthday? Someone whispered. Anger flared in the room. People rose from their seats, ready to intervene, but Maria stopped them with a gentle shake of her head. Let him be, she said, her voice calm yet trembling. Ryan struck her again, and again, 15 times in total. Each slap grew lighter, almost symbolic, but the pain etched across Maria's face broke the hearts of everyone watching. When he was done, Ryan collapsed to his knees, sobbing uncontrollably. Through his tears, he confessed, "Mom, when I was younger, you slapped me 15 times whenever I lied, skipped school, or tried to follow the wrong crowd. Back then, I hated you for it. I thought you were cruel. But now, I see clearly. Those 15 slaps saved my life. They kept me from going down the wrong road. Without your discipline, I would have ended up lost, maybe even dead. Today, I gave them back to you, not as punishment, but as a way to honor the sacrifices you made." The room grew quiet. Maria bent down, lifting her son's tear-streaked face. "Ryan," she said softly, "each time I slapped you, I cried afterward when no one was looking. It was never out of anger, it was love. I wanted you to become better than me, to live a life full of dignity and respect. And now, you are proof that my struggles were worth it." The guests, once furious, now stood in silence, many wiping away tears. The act that had seemed like disrespect transformed into one of the most emotional lessons about love, sacrifice, and tough parenting. Ryan then reached into his pocket and pulled out a small velvet box. Inside was a silver locket with the words, "My mother, my guardian," engraved on it. He placed it around her neck, and Maria smiled through her tears.